There are places in this world where there are no billboards, no one to tell you who you should be or what you should want. I found one of these places in the Canadian Arctic. I was walking home from work one day when I stopped. In front of me was vast, frozen white in every direction, quiet and still. Even my breath, visible in the cold air, felt too loud. I inhaled gently, warming my breath as it moved through my body. And with every breath, my body fell into the stillness around me. I felt a kind of connection I'd never felt before. I wasn't trying to understand anything. I wasn't trying to be productive or impressive. I simply stood there. Back then, I didn't have language for what was happening. But that moment in Arctic stillness would later become the reason that I stand before you today. I am here to share how I began to feel at home in myself and how I learned to stop performing and just be. When I went back home to my hometown, which was supposed to feel like home, the noise came back. Not only did it come back, it was louder. The roles heavier, the expectations clearer. I was booking appointments, making decisions, running from place to place, holding every member of my family together while my own body felt exhausted. I didn't even notice that held breath, that tight jaw, that knot in my stomach. Not until one day, something happened that made it impossible for me to ignore this anymore. In what felt like one moment, I lost $50,000. My body froze. I felt suffocated. I remember staring at my screen, typing, "Help me breathe." And that's how breathwork showed up in my life. Not as a wellness practice, but as survival. When my breath began to return, I started noticing a pattern, not just in me, but in other moments around me as well. This pattern was there in small moments, like in conversations, where somebody asks a question and the answer comes even before the breath did. Or where parents replying to their children don't even look up and meet their eyes. Responses coming in so fast that they don't even land. And our bodies always preparing for that something which hasn't even happened yet. It wasn't just me. Slowly, I started to notice this in others too. Without realizing, we train ourselves to brace first and arrive later. And it starts early, when we hear things like, "Be strong, be good, don't take up so much space." And so our bodies adapt in small, constant adjustments. That's the held breath, the tightened jaw. That habit of editing ourselves before we speak so we show up smaller. I've come to call this bracing, that quiet tightening that we feel and can live with every day. And before long, it becomes so normal that we forget that maybe there's another way to live. Through breath work, my body started to remember that Arctic stillness long before my mind did. And then in one breathwork session during my training, something shifted. I felt this warmth in my chest, a tingling in my belly, a feeling of being met rather than managing myself. And then I realized what it was. For the first time in my life, I felt safe in my body. Not calm, not relaxed, but safe. I remember crying out again and again, I am safe. I am safe. And since then, something in me has not been able to let that go. And I'll be honest, these last few months have been a true test of what I am sharing with you today. Because while I was preparing this talk, life was asking more of me than I had ever imagined. And at first, I wanted to brace, and I wanted to keep going and thinking, I can do this, I don't need to pause. But I chose not to. And instead, I chose to meet my breath in exhaustion. And I chose to take that pause. In my experience, the inhale can be energizing, and the exhale can be settling. But that space in between, for me, it felt magical. Like that musical rest, where that silence meets the next note upon its arrival. And in that moment, something in me shifted, not because I forced it, but because I stopped bracing. We don't need to find ourselves to become someone new. Rather, if we just find that space within ourselves where we no longer need to perform, just to be. There's that moment that we almost never notice. Not the inhale, not the exhale, but that space in between. It can be subtle, like your shoulders slightly lowering, like your breath finally arriving. You don't need to travel somewhere to find it. So tonight, when you start reflecting on your day, or you start preparing for that something which hasn't happened yet, notice what your body's doing. And in the next breath, notice that pause. I invite you to take one breath with me so we notice together. So inhaling and exhale. That pause, that's home. Thank you.